was saying that, I'm a certified leadership coach and I'm co-founder of Meraqi Consulting. At Meraqi, we are passionate about learning. And we believe that learning is a very, very powerful tool that can transform life. And we love to create platforms where we can bring people who love to learn, the learners, and experts in various fields together so that we can learn, we can interact, and we can grow together. And today is another such opportunity. So today's webinar is an initiative in that direction. In fact, it is part of a lot of activity that Meraqi is doing. We are doing webinars, we are doing programs, we are bringing in international coaches and speakers to India and giving them a platform so that they can share their experience and knowledge. And today we have Mervin with us. I'm very, very excited and looking forward to hearing Mervin talk about persuasion and influence today. One of the key things that we have seen in the last 1 year and is that these kind of platforms are important for us to learn and grow. It is always better to have co-learners, with whom you can share, you can interact, and you can actually hold each other accountable. So one of the things that Meraqi has done in the last 1 year is we have built a beautiful platform of learning community. And we have close to 150 people today. And we are engaged on a daily basis. We share, we have discussions on different ebooks, different topics. And it's a beautiful community that we have been able to build in. One request, if everybody can put yourself on mute unless you're speaking, that would be great for the overall experience in the session. So we have this beautiful community, and in case you are not part of the community, I'll be posting at the end of the session in the chat a link to join the community. And it's a free community. The only thing that we look for is the commitment to learn and to support each other's growth. That's the only commitment that we ask from you. So I'll be sharing that during the session. In case you are not part of the community, please jump in and be part of it. We will love to have you there. The very fact that you've logged in a weekend shows how committed you are to your own growth and learning. And I think big cheers for that. Wonderful. There's so many things, so many commitments that we all have, but you choose to be here. And that is something that we love to see, and that encourages us at Meraqi, and people like Mervin, I think that charges us up to contribute, to share more so that we all can grow together. So I'm so excited to have Mervin with me today. A little bit about Mervin. Mervin is the owner of Next Level Training, and he's based out of London, UK. He's joining us from there today. Thank you, Mervin, for doing that, taking out time and being here. He is on a mission to help people get exceptional results. So that's powerful. I think, that's something that really amazed me when I connected, and, there was a lot of synergy in our thoughts that he wants to help people accelerate and get exceptional results in their life. Thousands of people around the world, across Europe, Africa, Middle East, USA, Southeast Asia. He has been delivering workshops and coaching sessions for people across the globe. One of the key things that, amongst other things that Mervin teaches, one of the key things he talks about persuasion and influence. And he is going to share with us 6 key persuaders. How many of you are interested to know about the 6 key persuaders that Mervin is going to share with us today, which would really be a game changer for all of us? How many of you are interested? Raise your hand, give me a thumbs up, or say yes. Oh, awesome. Yeah. I can see so many hands up there. Wonderful, wonderful energy. Thank you so much. So over to you, Mervin. Just one thing before I hand over the mic to Mervin is that we have a time specifically dedicated to Q&A at the end. So we have about 10 to 15 minutes we have kept for you to interact, because one of the key things we believe in is interaction is important. That's why we have brought him live today. So you can talk to him, you can ask questions. We have about 10 to 15 minutes dedicated for that. In between, Mervin is going to share his nuggets of wisdom, which we are so excited and looking forward to hear. So over to you without much ado. Thank you so much, Mervin. Thank you. Over to you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Hema. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen with you all. And there we go. So here we are, the art of persuasion. I'm Mervyn Murray, as he has said. Could I also acknowledge that my coach and mentor is on the call today, and I'm delighted that he's joined us. My brother, Norman, he's here listening to this webinar today, and I'm absolutely delighted that he's joined us all. I'm really pleased to be with you today. As Hema says, I have a passion for people and their development, and my mission is, of course, to make you even more outstanding. And I think persuasion, being persuasive, is really, really key to being outstanding. So what are we going to talk about today? We are going to, we've done the introductions, but we're going to take a brief moment at you can't see the slideshow. Let me stop the share. Okay, so you're not seeing the slideshow, is that correct?
We can see that. We can see that. You can put it back. Now it's good. Yeah.
I'll put it back. Okay. All right.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. We're going to take a moment to talk about ethical persuasion, because there are two sides to this this persuasion coin, as it were. As you've highlighted, Hema, I'm going to unpack the 6 key persuaders that really do change people's behavior. And of course, we're going to do some action planning at the end. Every single session that we run, we want you to commit to at least one action that you can take as a result of our time together, because otherwise it will get wasted. All right. Okay. So let's crack on. Using the chat function, what do you see? Tell me in the chat function what it is that you see. Side of a woman's face, sweetie. Yep. So a side of a girl's face. Raman, an old lady and a young lady, an old woman from Avinash and Mukund, my apologies. A woman turned towards her right, an old lady, and some people see a young woman. Okay, thank you. This is actually a very famous sketch by Toulouse-Lautrec, who was he was spurned by his young girlfriend, and so he drew her as an old woman. So this is a very famous sketch, and this really is about perspective, isn't it? What is our perspective? And our perspective, when it comes to persuasion and influence, is unique, or we think we are persuaded uniquely. However, by the end of our session today, I will hopefully have demonstrated to you that every single one of us can be persuaded using the 6 key persuaders that I'm going to unpack for you today. How are you feeling today? Not just how are you feeling today, and using the chat function, I want you to give it a number. So I want you to give this feeling a score out of 100, please. How are you feeling today? And give it a score out of 100. Thank you, sweetie. 67, 98, Mukund, 100, Raman. Okay, 80, 75. Happy and excited. I love it. 95. Okay, hold on. Okay, stop. I've got another question for you, which is, think about the happiest moment in your life. Now, think about that moment. Just immerse yourself in that moment, just for a moment. Think about how you felt at that time. And now give yourself a score out of 100. Some of you may need to go to 150, I'm guessing. 100, yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, granddaughter. I'm a granddad myself, so I fully concur with that feeling. Yeah, really good, really good. Thank you, everyone who's Rajeswara. Thank you. Is there a change? And if there has been a change, do you think you might be open to be more persuaded? I think you might. Just by asking a simple question, perhaps I've opened the psychological door to being more persuaded. Okay. As I mentioned to you, I mean, persuasion, let's first unpack what we're talking about here, which is the action or process of persuading someone or of being persuaded to do or believe something. Now, before we get into what does persuade people, there's two things I want to talk about. And one is I want to talk about you, because you can't persuade other people if you don't believe that you can do it. And so your internal world, your self-talk and your self-image, including your anticipation of the future, which is, it's really difficult to persuade people, might be a belief, and your anticipation of the future will be that perhaps persuading people is difficult, therefore very few people can be persuaded, which would lead to your behavior being reactive instead of proactive, which would lead to more negative self-talk. So, sometimes it's us that stops ourselves from being more persuasive. If you're asked to stand up and talk and you're overly nervous, that's self-defeating, isn't it? And that nervousness is usually as a result of your internal world and your self-image anticipating a difficult presentation, let's say, which leads to you being less persuasive as a result. Okay. We can't talk about persuasion without talking about ethical persuasion, because there is a dark side to persuasion, isn't there? Where people are manipulative, people just want your money, or they want you to do things for their own reasons, they're not in your best interests. And so what I would like you to really come at this subject with is a sense of respect, respect for other people and respect for the other person's viewpoint. So in a consultative world, which I inhabit, and Hema and Raman and others inhabit, we have to explore our client's viewpoint first. Why do they want consultation? What's going on for them right now, and what have they tried in the past? And from a coach's perspective, we want to get alongside people to discover what really is going on for them before we can help them. When we are talking about persuading on a mass scale, when we're talking about persuading on a larger scale, we still need to have an ethical approach. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we only offer things that we can deliver, that there is no lying, or what I call, when you see an advert, there might be what I call weasel words on the advert. Broadband in the UK has, they market broadband speeds of up to 100 meg. Well, there's a big disparity between what up to 100 meg and what they actually deliver when it's installed into your home is completely different. And I think that that's unethical as an example. So that dark side of persuasion, sure, you can take these 6 key persuaders that we're going to explore in a moment. However, if you don't have respect for people, then you'll lose respect for yourself. Simple and straightforward as that. And ethical persuasion, you can see there are the 3 steps, which create solutions is really co-create solutions with the other person, so that you give them the very best solution rather than your solution. So and that dark side, stay away from the dark side. I think, is that Luke Skywalker I'm quoting? All right. Here are the 6 key persuaders, which I'm sure has driven most of you here today. And I'm riding on the back of a really great author, Robert Cialdini. In his lexicon of works, he has The Art of Persuasion and Influence. And he has unpacked, he was the first person to use research out in the field as to what actually does change people's behavior. And here are the 6 up on the screen there: consensus, liking, rarity, consistency, authority, and reciprocity. And I'm going to go through these one by one and talk about the uses for them. Consensus is show me people like me and I will be more persuaded by you. It's also known as social proof. So when I first got into the world of HR and training and teaching and coaching, clients would ask me, well, who else have you done work for that works in our field? So if I'm talking to somebody in the financial world, they'd say, what other financial institutions have you done work for? And if I couldn't tell them that I'd done work for financial institutions, they wouldn't be interested, because I hadn't dealt with people like them. And it can be a source of frustration, but because I'm dealing with people, but people want to know, are you like us? And if you're like us, then I'll be more persuaded by you. We're all subject to social proof or consensus. Let me give you some of the uses. So this is why organizations, companies use testimonials all the time. Certainly in training, in HR, we use live testimonials if we can, to demonstrate people like you who have enjoyed our products and services.
Marvin, are you still on the Key Persuaders slide? Because that's a slide we can see right now.
Yeah.
If you're more ahead.
I'm on uses of.
Okay, so your slide is still on Key Persuaders, so you might want to just check.
Okay, all right. All right. Let's. Not sure what's happening there. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think you just put it up again.
Yeah. All right. So let me go back. Can you all see that? So you got to. Oh, it's a black screen.
Yeah, it's just I think loading up. It's not coming up yet. Okay,
so it seems to be okay in my. Okay. Let me try again. How's that? Still a black screen. Is that correct, Hema?
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. Let me shut the.
I'll just put up the slides for you, Marvin.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, roll it forwards.
Yeah.
Thank you. Technology, eh? Technology. It's great when it works. Okay,
Yeah.
so here are the 6 key persuaders. And yeah, thank you. So consensus and social proof. Show me people like me and I will be more persuaded by you. All right, next one up. Thank you, Hema. Next slide. Brilliant. Thank you. So testimonials are very, very powerful. You know, these things work. And the more believable, don't use actors. We all know when actors are being used in an advert or a picture. This is why the owners of cafes will sit you, if their cafe is empty or their restaurant is empty, they'll sit you by the window so that when passers-by see you in the cafe or restaurant, they're more likely to go in. Next one, please. Thank you, Hema. And team agreement. You know, if you want team agreement, then get 2 or 3 people to stick their hand up first, and then everybody is likely to follow on because of social proof. Just before we leave the slide there, Hema, that's fine. But just the last word on social proof. You know, have you ever been to a place that's new to you and you're looking for somewhere to eat? If you've looked into a restaurant window and seen nobody is there and walked on, that's social proof. Because nobody's there, you're not sure if it's any good or not. So you walk on. But you find a place with plenty of people in it, and it must be okay because lots of other people are there. That's how social proof can work. This is a pretty obvious one, I think. He found that liking, if I like you, I'll be more persuaded by you. And the uses for this are quite interesting. Cable companies here, TV companies, cable companies here in the UK, they use, you've got the people prefer to say yes to those that they like. That's true. But also we go to our friends, don't we? If we want advice over something, we go to people who we know and trust for advice. And we are persuaded by them because we know them, we like them, and we trust them. And if you're in the game of getting customers one by one, that's really the process. They need to get to know you, they need to get to like you, and they need to trust you. And once they've got to that stage, then they're willing to buy from you. So cable companies, their friend get a friend program. I'll give you $50 off, and your friend gets $50 off our services if you sign them up and give them your unique code. Cooperate towards mutual goals. Yeah. So if you've got somebody at work that you really like, they're more likely to trust you and work with you towards your mutual goals. And not all politicians, but most politicians, they do, when they speak, they're only speaking to their okay, somebody, could we put everybody on mute? Yeah, okay, thank you. So politicians, when they speak, they are only speaking to the people that like them. They're not speaking to the people that disagree with them or dislike them. It's as simple as that. All right, next slide, please, Hema. So COVID-19, a word a year ago was a word or a phrase that none of us really knew much about. But tell me, next slide, please, Hema. Next slide. What did people in India rush out and buy when COVID-19 struck India? What did everybody rush out and buy? Use the chat function to let, because I know what we did in the UK. Food and sanitizer, Devesh. Yeah. Groceries. Was there one particular thing that was difficult to get? Booze? Surinder. Yeah, grocery. But I'm interested, was there one thing that everybody went out and got? Is it sanitizers? Masks. Yeah, Prashnath, you toilet papers, but not in India. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone. Next slide, please, Hema. So, yeah, rarity. That's the next key persuader. If it's running out, I want it. If there's only a one-off, then I need it. In the UK, I thought throw up the next slide, please, Hema. Yeah, okay. So how do companies generate rarity? So they'll do a flash sale or a one-day sale. Amazon have Black Friday, don't they? And I don't know about you, but the prices on Amazon's Black Friday are not really much different to prices pretty much every day. But everybody goes crazy over here on Amazon Black Friday, and they certainly do in the US anyway. So if you can make it a limited edition or even a one-off, then you can charge more for it. Price gives us a feeling of scarcity and rarity, a unique or one-off. If you can differentiate yourself and your products, whereby you are in what's known as a blue ocean, where you have no other predators, no other competitors, and your service offer is unique, or your product is unique, then you can charge more for it if you're first into a particular market. So you're right. I can't remember who said toilet rolls. In the UK, we were faced with absolutely bare shelves where the toilet roll used to be for a number of weeks after the first wave hit, even though the manufacturers were saying, we have plenty, you don't need to worry. People still went out and cleared the shelves. And that's because of panic buying, of course. All right. And that's the power of rarity and scarcity. This is an interesting one, consistency. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm almost certain I will do it, which is why we get people to sign on the dotted line. Because if I show you your signature on the contract, you are almost duty bound to do whatever it says in the contract. Other uses, so sign a contract. Repeating back actions. So to get people to actually do what you want them to do, if you get them to repeat back, so what is it you're going to do next Wednesday at 10 a.m.? And if they tell you, you increase the chances of them actually doing it because they want to be consistent with what they said. And of course, reminding someone that that's what they said. You said you would do this. And if you remind somebody, then they're duty bound almost to do it. Robert Cialdini, what he did with consistency is he ran an experiment where he had one group going out, knocking on doors, basically asking for asking for donations to a particular charity. Another group went out and knocked on doors and made it clear they didn't want a donation, but they just wanted to talk about the charity. And at the end of their pitch, they said, if you were asked to donate towards such a charity, would you do so? And what they did was, a couple of weeks later, they went back to the people that said yes, and 90% of the people that said yes made a donation. That's the power of consistency. All right, next slide, please, Hema. Authority. You can see I've got a stethoscope there because, and you'll know this to be, I guess it's the same in India. If I walk into a hospital dressed like a doctor with a stethoscope around my neck, people will think I'm an authority and I'm a doctor, which is why it's such a heinous crime to pass yourself off as somebody in authority. Because the two key psychological questions that we're asking when confronted by somebody who wants us to part with our hard-earned money is, do you know what you're doing, and can I trust you? And if you pass those two questions by being the authority in your sphere, then you're well on the way to being very, very persuasive. Other uses, Hema, please. Thank you. So be the authority in your business area. Write, blog, do videos, make presentations, do all of those things. Yeah, become a speaker in your subject, and certainly just make sure that you find your niche. Here in the UK, it's a bit of a mantra, but if you find your niche, what is it you're good at? What are you interested in? And what are other people interested in too? Find that niche and drive a big hole in that niche by being the authority in that niche. You don't have to be the world authority. You just have to be the go-to person in that niche. And if you can do that, you are well on the way to being more persuasive. All right. Thank you, Hema. Now, this is our final one, I think, reciprocity. Can anybody, using the chat, if you could just go back one, Hema, because I'm going to use the chat function. Can anybody tell me what reciprocity is? Using the chat function. Yeah, you're only seeing an exclamation mark at the moment. You do it and I do it for you. Give and take. Yeah, give back with respect. Giving back. Thank you, Kavitha. Really good, Mukund. Yeah, give back with respect. Do to others as they do to you. All right, okay. Really good being on the wavelength. Thank you, thank you. Please, if you, forward the slides. If I give something of value to you, you are almost duty bound to give me something of equal value back. Of course, mutual exchange, yeah, really good. But there are some. It isn't as simple as what I have up on the screen there. But if I do something for you, you are almost duty bound to do something of equal value back. But there is a sting in the tail. If I do something, so let's forward the slide, because I think might, so the golden rule. Let's get the whole slide up, Hema, so I don't trip myself up here. That's it. Thank you. So the golden rule is do nice things because you can, not because you will profit from it. This is widely used to attract customers to increase sales. Karthik? Yep, absolutely right. The key here with reciprocity is if I do nice things for people, not expecting anything back, it's much more powerful. In fact, if I do nice things for you and you can't pay me back, it's even more powerful. It's very persuasive and very attractive. I just want to tell you, I think we've got time for a very quick story. When I first started out in this world of training and started my training and learning and development business, I went to an old friend of mine who told me how to get customers. He said, you should go and do networking, Merv. Yeah, and he asked me, do you know how to network? And stupidly, I said, yes. And off I went doing networking. After a while, I went back to him and said, it's not working for me. And he said, well, what is it you're doing wrong? And I told him what I was doing, which was I was looking for customers. I'd only go to networking event where I thought my customers would be. And then I'd make a beeline for my customers and talk to them about me and my new business. And he said to me, Merv, you're doing it all wrong. He said, I do networking not to find out what people can do for me. I go to networking to find out what I can do for other people. And he came out with a phrase that's stuck with me ever since, which was, he said, Merv, if you give out to the universe will repay you many times over. I think it's in the good books, isn't it? And that phrase stuck with me. So I stopped going to Giver's Gain. Thank you. Matik Shara. Thank you. Giver's Gain. If you do things without expecting returns, thank you, Uma. And it's absolutely right. If you do nice things for people, I promise you, nice things will happen back. Just a very short finish to that story. My business line never rang, but after about 4 or 5 weeks of changing my tactic, my business line rang, and somebody had contacted me because of my recent networking activity, and just rang me. Didn't know them at all. They were from another town, a couple of hours drive from where I am. And I can't tell you what I did that got that phone call, or who recommended me or whatever, but I can tell you it's because I changed the way in which I did things, and I practiced paying it forwards, basically. If you pay it forwards, not expecting anything back, the universe will repay you, I promise you. All right, okay, I think, what's the next slide, Hema? Oh yeah, the power move. So I was at an exhibition, and I was doing a presentation many years ago now on persuading and influencing. And with about 10 minutes to go, something like that, I had about 3 people in the room. And I said to the people in the room, I put the 6 key persuaders up on the slide, and I said to the 3 people in the room, I'm just going to get the PA to make an announcement to the rest of the exhibition, and I'm going to use 2 or 3 of the key persuaders in the announcement. And I went to the PA and I said to them, can you let everybody know that time's running out, that spaces are filling up fast, and we're in whatever room it was that we were in. By the time I got back, it was half full. And by the time I started, it was standing room only. And I used three out of the 6 key persuaders within the announcement. And you can do that too, can't you? You can do that too. If you use 2 or more of the key persuaders, you will be more persuasive. All right. I think, yeah. So action planning now. What I'd like you to do is to, if I may, in the chat, would you just put down one action that you're going to take as a result of our time here together, please? Rarity, Subhash, Rarity. Okay, how are you going to use that, Subhash? Avni, consistency. All right, thank you. Could you be more, give me something, how you're going to use it? That would be great. All right, thank you. Let's stop the share now, I think, Ema. Do good to others. Yeah, reciprocity. Yeah. Reciprocity is so powerful, particularly for those of you that are at work. If you practice reciprocity in work, if you collaborate with people in work, you'll be amazed at the power of reciprocity by saying yes to people when they have a problem, even though it's not your remit. Give to the universe and the universe will give to you. Yes, big girl. Yeah, really good. All right. So we're at the end now, Hema, and I'm open to any questions that you'd like to ask. If you pop your video on as well, and you can unmute yourselves.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's great. I can see so much of action on the chat. This is a good time to unmute yourself, and why don't you ask your question? Or we probably understand that how you can, use the knowledge that Mervyn has shared in putting that into practice in your own space, so that you get more out of what we just discussed. So whatever you've identified, how can you do more? Okay, I see a question from Mukund. Mukund is saying, what's the thin line between persuasion and convincing?
Yeah, really good. I mean, if you're having to convince somebody of something, then you're pushing too hard. Persuading somebody is more subtle, isn't it? If I can persuade you to change your behavior or to change your thinking, that's more subtle. Convincing somebody with your argument is more like a presentation of facts or appealing to an emotion. How do we persuade someone disinterested? Really, so Surinder, really good, interesting question. My answer to you is, why are they disinterested? Get alongside them to uncover what would be of interest to them and lead them from that interest into where you are. If you can get alongside people to understand why they think the way they think. But you also have to know that if there are some things, I'm not interested in everything. So it's really a question of finding like-minded people who would be persuaded because they need what you are selling, if you like. Not everybody needs what you're selling, and you have to understand that. Not everybody is at the right place, or maybe they can't afford, or maybe they haven't got the time. So why would you want to persuade somebody who's not interested? Why? What? Unless it's important to you that they are persuaded, in which case you'd need to take a lot of time and a lot of effort in order to persuade. But we all tend to work in our own rational self-interest, don't we? Svigil, Svigiri has got a question. Got your hand up.
Yeah, I think that has been up for quite some time. So I'm not sure if... No.
How to persuade people. So we've got how to persuade people in powerful positions. So what I would say to you is when you're talking to powerful people, whatever that means, you can assume if I step into their shoes for a moment, you can assume that they're time poor. And you can also assume that whatever it is you're going to say, they probably heard it before. So in order to be persuasive of people in powerful positions, you have got to, number one, get their attention. And you get their attention by, we call it bluff, B-L-U-F, bottom line up front. So if I'm doing a presentation to people in powerful positions, I would ask myself, what's my bottom line? What is it I want to say? What is the one sentence? If I only had a sentence to tell this person, what would it be? What would my sentence be? And that's my opening line to the powerful people in the room. There was the owner of a particular, I think it was Remington Shavers. He famously brought a monkey into the boardroom and let it loose on the boardroom table for 5 minutes. And when he finally got hold of the monkey, he said, "Now I've got your attention. Let me tell you about my business." And he got the work or whatever it was he was doing because he got their attention. And of course, he had enormous confidence and enormous front as well, as many Americans do. But having confidence and coming out with your bottom line up front, you definitely get people's heads up and minds in the room. And then you can tell them why. Then you'll have plenty of time to fill in the gaps. All right.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fine. Let's have a discussion, and then this is my gun, and I can persuade anybody.
Yeah.
So the point here is, do we need to really put people on attention like that, or ask, saying, what can I do for you? Probably even speak the language they do. Most of the people don't speak the language. When I mean language, from what you want. It's not from what I want.
I mean, it is, a lot of people, when asked to do a presentation, you're absolutely right, Raman. When people are asked to do a presentation, the last thing they're going to do is ask a question. And that's a great way of getting people's attention as well, isn't it? If you go in and ask a pithy, attention-seeking question, I don't know, like I remember one job candidate said to me, his opening remark to me was, after saying hello and welcome, he said, "So tell me, Mr. Murray, why should I work for you?" That was his first question. I'm immediately up. Oh, okay, right. This is good. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Raman. So we're asking here: will the organisers share the slides? Got a PDF them, and okay, all right. Thank you.
So we'll be sharing that on the learning group. So in case you haven't joined, in the chat, you have the link to join the group. And from there, you'll be able to access that. Definitely, don't worry about it. So I have a question, Murray. You also mentioned about authority and finding a niche is something that is very important. A lot of people struggle with that. I know it's a big thing to explain, but any simple way you can give us some tip to people here how they can find their niche where they can show their authority. What is the process for that?
It is a difficult one, and you're not looking at Richard Branson here. I've not found the answer, I don't think, but if you can. So, for example, perhaps I should only talk about persuasion and influence and nothing else. That I would be the go-to person for everything to do with persuasion and influence, and I would find my constituency, my customer base from that approach. Because it's very niche, isn't it? In terms of leadership and management, it's a very small part of the whole cake, and so that would be an example of niching. But also think about markets. So, for example, I'm quite no, this is wrong. I'm bigger in one market than any other particular market, which I'm not going to tell you, but I am. And I'm not saying I'm big in that market. Please don't hear that. But I focus on that area, that market, more than any other. So find a niche and find a market that perhaps will listen to your message more. Because, some markets are saturated. Some markets are not interested. And if the gold standard, of course, is to discover what people want and then deliver that. That's the gold standard.
Fantastic. I think that's a great answer that you gave. That you actually not just finding your, what is your expertise, you're also matching that to what the market needs and finding that specific market where you can position yourself and be the leader there. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, instead of making something and then trying to sell it, find out what people want and make that, design and deliver that, whatever that is. Yeah.
Dr. Uma, you have a question. Why don't you say that? Would you be able to unmute yourself, Dr. Uma?
Yeah, sure, Hima. Thank you. So my question is that Cialdini talks about different persuasion techniques. I was just keen to know which one of the two works better, or is it very context specific? That what they say, foot on the door or door on the face. So I just thought I would get a clarity on that.
When you say, I mean, we have is it foot in the door? So you put your foot in the door to stop them closing the door. Is that what you mean?
Oh, okay. So foot in the door is just to give you an analogy. You ask someone, say you are expecting a big sum of money to be, given to you. So you just try asking for, can I have, say, $10? And if you see the person is willing to give $10, then you increase that amount by saying, see, I have another requirement too. Can I get $50? So that is foot in the door.
Okay.
Yeah. And
all
door
right.
on the face, you ask for $1,000 and the person says, no, go away. I can't give you. Then you say, oh, can I have $50? So from 1,000, you break it to 50, the person is willing to give. So now, which one is, according to you, a better strategy in persuasion?
Okay, so the first one is what we know as the salami technique. If I have a whole salami and you ask me for the whole of the salami, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you ask me for a slice of salami now and again, I might give you more of my salami than I intended to. If you keep asking me for a little bit, just give me a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So, you've segued neatly into negotiation skills there. What research has found that if somebody buys a big ticket item, then they're not worried about the price of everything else. So, for example, if I'm buying a suit, and let's say it's $500, I'm not worried about a tie at $100, or I'm less concerned. But if you try and sell me a tie for $100, I'm not going to buy it, am I? If you say here's a lovely tie, well, why do I want a tie at $100? Oh, you want it to go with the $500 suit that you haven't bought from me yet? That's not going to work. But if you do it the other way around, if you think of all the major purchases in your life, you probably spent more money or as much money, more money than you intended on everything else that goes with the big purchase than you intended in the first place. And that's
because that happens a lot when we are buying expensive things, like, say, for example, buying a car. Then you don't worry about, what the music system, and, probably you end up paying more because it's coming as part of the package. You don't want to compromise that. That's what you're saying.
There's another,
There's another absolutely right.
I know of a guy, and this is about 40 years ago, I'm talking of the story. He was employed in a company that was selling shaving blades, and that particular brand was Erasmic. He tried to do all the selling against the 7 o'clocks and the Gillettes and things like that. He couldn't do it. The smart fellow went to the railway station, and the offer was you buy 5 packets of blade and you get a mug free. He went to the railway station, he sold the mug and gave the blades free, but he still made the sale. Sometimes it's the necessity that makes the sale, the persuasion.
Absolutely. Yeah. One last question. Mitaksha has been, I think she's trying to post it for the second time, so I can't avoid picking that up. Mitaksha, so she wants to ask that, can healthy fear for genuine concern be used for persuasion? Or is it like hard convincing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult one, isn't it? That's kind of, playing on people's fears, is really, that's about our sense of security. Perhaps. So alarm companies here in the UK, they do, they show people, I've just been burgled, so I'm going to buy your latest whiz-bango home alarm kit. And it's a difficult one because that's the fear of being burgled is why you would buy an alarm kit. But it's really, for me, it's about what you do beyond that. I mean, if literally going door to door, frightening people, I would say that's a dark art, to be honest. And how do you sleep at night? But if you're genuinely going, look, this product will prevent you from being burgled by burglars who don't like burglar alarms because it's completely tamper-proof and blah, 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 blah. That's a different thing, isn't it? Because, I'd only be in the market for a burglar alarm if I thought I was going to be burgled, I guess.
Or possibly some service maintenance package so that the machinery which you purchase will not go bad and it needs to be, your costs will be saved later on. So that's a genuine thing, right? Something like that.
Yeah, just be careful if you are selling a product, that's along that lines. Try not to be too obvious. I used to have people phone call me and say, Mr. Murray, speculatively, they'd say, Mr. Murray, would you like to save money? Well, that's not really a smart question in my book, because what is the obvious answer? The obvious answer is yes, isn't it? So we need to be more respectful of people and their knowledge, their time, and their money. If we're going to ask people a question, or if we're going to talk about their fears, that we do it in a respectful way, in line with ethical persuasion. A great question would be, what would make you choose a product like ours? Well, I'm frightened of this, I'm afraid of that, and whatever that may be for them. But if you're overtly making people afraid by quoting statistics of burglaries in the local area or something, that's a different ball game, isn't it? Whilst it's factual and all of those things, I just think it's on the edge of the ethical, moral spectrum.
Thank you, Mitaksha, for asking that question. And I think, Mervyn, there's so much that we want to know from you, and 60 minutes is not enough, for sure. I think, there's so much that you brought in this, like just the 6 key persuaders. They are so powerful. Like you said, even if you use 2 of them or 3 of them, I think we can be very, very persuasive in the way we communicate with people, the way we are messaging, sending messages. I think there's so much for us to think about in this weekend and kind of create the action plan, like you said. So we're going to work and create that action. 60 minutes is not enough, and I can see that already. So we would love to have you back, and we will see how we can probably bring you back and engage more. So people, I would share that with you, whatever, we agree upon, and we can have Mr. Murray's time. Basis his schedule, we'll see what we can do for you, and we'd love to have you here talking in more detail and giving us more specifics about how we can put this into action. I think it's been a phenomenally, wonderfully insightful session, Mervyn. I really enjoyed listening to you and the interactions that came in. Thank you so much, all of you. I think, on a weekend, Saturday, I think you guys have really, really been very, very energetic and active and putting up these questions and learning. Thank you so much. It was amazing. Those of you who are not part of the group learning community, please join, because we continue to have a lot of action there. And, we will be posting more about the session and the resources and what we're going to do after this. Lovely to have you. And once again, Mervyn, I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone. And also, Raman, Mr. Raman, I think we'd like to thank you for bringing Mr. Murray here and helping us listen to him. I think it's been a fantastic session. Mr. Raman, you're muted. Mr. Raman, you're muted.
Okay, England is touring India. So
no, they're not.
This is the right time to bring him in.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. And please, any questions that you have, continue to post it, and we'll put those questions to Mervyn and get those answered from him. I'm taking that liberty and saying that here without asking Mervyn. I'm sure he's going to help us do that. Thank you so much for a phenomenal session. Thank you, everyone, for logging in. And we'll be in touch.
Maybe Monday I can answer the questions.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. So we're logging off. With due respect to everybody's time, we're logging off now, but we'll continue to interact and learn together. Thank you so much, Mervyn. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
It's been
fantastic.